Oh my gosh, people of the world, hello and welcome. Marketing is a Foreign Language, August 18th. Please do leave a comment if you are on YouTube or Facebook. That's how I know that you're here. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. Your comment will appear in this box immediately above my head. Today on the show, Google tells Australian users that proposed new revenue sharing laws would have major negative impacts. So this is an article about how Australia may be forcing Facebook and Google to share revenue with news publishers. That would be a huge paradigm shift. Facebook launches new educator hub as students head back to school. If you are like me, you are freaking out about the state of education and wondering what this school year is going to bring for the kiddos, especially if you have a kindergartner like I do. How can you possibly do that? Virtually, Facebook adds new tools to track political ad spend via its ad library. We all want to know how much folks are spending and how they're spending it. This is good information for precisely that. LinkedIn provides new data on U.S. job market and most in-demand roles. LinkedIn has taken a pretty prominent role in us understanding the job market in 2020, given how much data that they have and are willing to share. Search Engine Land article, why machine learning and understanding searcher intent is so important to search. So what is the latest in AI? And last but not least, Google's new features for product, job, and recipe activity cards usher users along their journey. So some new stuff coming in from the Google machine. This is Marketing as a Foreign Language, and it begins right now. Oh my gosh, people of the world, just pulling up the live feed over here. So much good, so much winning. All right. So, as the Australian government pushes ahead with law reform that would essentially force Google and Facebook to share their revenue with Australian news publishers, Google has this week launched a new campaign to inform Australian users of the threat such regulations could pose to its services in the region. What is happening? As you can see in the above messaging shared by YouTube on Twitter and reiterated in an official announcement on the Google blog, Google says that the proposed changes to Australian media regulations could disadvantage creators in various ways. So this post here says there's a new proposed law known as the News Media Bargaining Code that could have significant negative impact on the creator ecosystem in Australia. Under the new proposed law, YouTube may be obligated to give large news publishers confidential information. Big news businesses can demand large amounts of money above and beyond what they earn on the platform, leaving fewer funds to invest in creators. And big news businesses can seek access to data about viewers' use. So let's get to the bottom of this. YouTube may be obligated to give large news publishers confidential information, right? It will create an uneven playing field when it comes to who makes money on YouTube. Through the YouTube Partner Program, we already share revenues with partners who monetize on YouTube, including news publishers, and we are proud to support quality journalism. But through this law, big news businesses can demand large amounts of money above and beyond what they earn on the platform, leaving fewer funds to invest in you, our creators, and the programs to help you develop your audience in Australia. Under this law, big news businesses can seek access to data about viewers' use of our products. So, Google has also added new pop-up warnings for Australian users, like this one on a YouTube clip. Your YouTube is at risk. New government regulation will put the YouTube that you know and love at risk in Australia. So, what does this really mean? To clarify, the current proposal put forward by the Australian government would implement a mandatory code of conduct, which would compel Google and Facebook to share any revenue they generate as a result of news content, specifically news content, with the relevant publishers of such material. The proposals stem from an official report into the Australian news industry published in 2019, which found, for example, that between 8 and 14% of Google search results trigger a top stories result, which typically includes reports from news media websites, including niche publications or blogs. With major news publishers struggling amid the COVID-19 pandemic and Google and Facebook generating huge income from Australian users, the government is seeking to address this imbalance by ensuring that publishers are compensated for such usage. But the proposal is at best half-baked. This is according to Andrew Hutchinson, Social Media Today. Half-baked, where is it? And overlooks the fact that Google and Facebook also drive huge amounts of traffic to news publishers, providing them with significant benefit. Okay, so if the Australian government is saying to Facebook, okay, you need to start doing revenue share. Well, first of all, we see the Trump administration looking to ban TikTok, a Chinese-based company. And here, as I just mentioned in a previous episode, a good chance that other countries are going to start doing this. Look, Australia doesn't really have too much of a vested interest in Facebook being this monolith. They want a piece of the pie, and I understand that they would want to do that. So if I'm an Australian news publisher and that law is passed, and I am given more money for the news articles that I write, it does prop up the Australian news media, that's for sure. It disincentivizes Facebook and Google to operate in the region. I wonder what will transpire here. So the balance of power in this case is skewed towards the platforms, and as they've done in the face of similar proposals in other regions, Google and Facebook could instead opt to just stop using Australian news publishers' content entirely, rather than paying the defined fees. So they could instead opt to just stop using Australian news publisher content. That's true, they could. On the basis of this proposal, that would be a major blow for both platforms, obviously. So they likely won't take that path. But in reality, the publishers are more reliant on Google and Facebook than the other way around, which will ultimately see the changes fail to deliver on their intended goals. Again, if you're hanging out with us and you want to hit that like button, would be much appreciated. And if you want to let me know that you're there, please do leave a comment, even if you're just saying hi. It makes me feel good. But still, the Australian government is pushing ahead, and other nations are watching on to see whether they may be able to implement similar regulations. And while, as noted, various regions have tried to force Google in particular to share its revenue with publishers in the past, the Australian proposal is different in that it uses competition law as opposed to copyright. Well, what is going to happen? So in theory, the idea is that you can make the digital giants pay for their fair share in order to subsidize the news sector. The idea has merit, but in practice, that's a lot harder to cement. That's true. That's true. What do you think, folks? Do you think governments should pass regulations saying that Facebook and Google should share a piece of the pie with the publishers? If so, how would they do that? If I had to make a prediction, let's say the Australian government does pass this, it would depend obviously on the dollar amount or the percentage that the news publishers would receive. If it were low enough, it might set a standard because Google and Facebook would continue to do what they do. Obviously, they would still see profit, but they would share a piece of the pie with the folks at the news media. But then again, Facebook and Google have a team of lawyers and a lot of very smart people, so they might find some sort of workaround where they continue to profit. But big news there going on in Australia. Facebook launches new educator hub as students head back to school. I, for one, received a box of school supplies from Wallen Elementary School today. And virtual learning, here we go. Let's see how it goes. This year has posed many challenges, according to Social Media Today, and they may be no more acutely felt than in the education sector, where massive changes in process, assessment, and curriculum as a result of COVID-19 will have long-lasting impacts on many students. I wonder if some students will be remote learning for the rest of their lives. I wonder if there's going to be a certain subsection of the population, a growing subsection, that is remote forever. In recognition of this and ahead of the broader return to school across the U.S., Facebook has this week launched a new educator hub, which is designed to help students, parents, and teachers by providing a range of educational resources which are focused on improving learning outcomes, updating lesson plans, and teaching digital literacy. Quote, back to school season looks different this year due to COVID, and parents, teachers, and students around the world are facing a myriad of challenges from remote teaching and learning, balancing work and home responsibilities, and most importantly, maintaining the safety and well-being of all involved. That's why we're launching an educator hub to support teachers and provide resources. So Facebook launching an educator hub. Facebook's already playing a key role for many school communities, with 1.5 million people now participating in homeschooling groups within the app. Wow. 1.5 million people in Facebook playing. Got it. So it could be free. It probably is. The new guides align with that usage, and the digital literacy elements could be particularly helpful as more kids spend time online. All right. So there's an educator hub. Facebook launches new educator hub for teachers. Facebook adds new tools to track political ad spend. So with the 2020 U.S. presidential election drawing near, Facebook has this week added some new tools to its ad library to better track political ad spend and provide more transparency into how each campaign is using the platform's ad options. As outlined by Facebook's Rob Leithern, the new tools are designed to help researchers and journalists better understand and demonstrate Facebook ad spend by politician. So first off, Facebook will now display which other advertisers have run ads with a shared paid for by disclaimer in each political ad listing. So here we have an example. Advisors that share a disclaimer with Elizabeth Rose, Senator Regina Washington, Democratic National Convention, some liberals, progressive, and Democrats page. As you can see in this example, the new listing will show which organizations support each politician, providing more transparency into how the candidates are being funded. That could make it easier to understand how political support is being allocated across different groups. Leithern also notes that Facebook is adding the vice president and other party VP candidates to its presidential spend tracker, which will make it easier to track related ad spend. And lastly, Facebook is also adding a new widget which enables journalists to share a real-time Facebook ad spending tracker for presidential candidates. So, all right. So, keeping tabs on political spend, Facebook continuing to update that for us, the citizens of these United States. LinkedIn provides new data on U.S. job market and most in-demand roles. So if you're looking for an in-demand role, LinkedIn perhaps helping with some data as the COVID-19 pandemic drags on. That would be a good way to describe it. LinkedIn is also tracking its impacts on the U.S. job market via its Workforce Insights blog, including in-demand positions, employer and employee outlook, overall job growth, etc. But fair warning, a lot of the information is, as you would expect, fairly negative, and it may not be beneficial to keep tabs on all the ups and downs of the jobs market continuously. Yet even so, it is important to note the broader trends and shifts, and it's worth checking in every now and then to see what's happening, measure the impacts in your sector, etc. This week, LinkedIn has provided a couple of relevant updates. First off, LinkedIn has recently shared this insight into jobs growth across the U.S. Hiring is up 57.5% in July from the former month. As noted by LinkedIn last month, the U.S. hiring rate based on the LinkedIn job listings reached close to where it was in early 2020. That's a positive sign, though there are the additional ongoing debates around mask use, safe opening by states, containment measures, etc. The economic impacts are undeniable, and will be felt for some time yet. So it is overall a positive sign that more businesses are feeling confident enough to return to work. LinkedIn also recently shared these insights into job security by sector. So sales is at a 40 on this particular index. Obviously, people need sales now. Business development, 39, slightly up. Finance is good. Military is good. Healthcare, obviously. Human resources, interesting, my wife in that. Media and communications, I wonder if I fall into that bucket. Consulting, community and social services. Sales and business development activity looks to be increasing, another positive sign, though the majority of sectors are still feeling less confident about their prospects moving forward in terms of which jobs are in demand. According to LinkedIn data, there are the top roles at present. They are salesperson. So if you want to be a salesperson in 2020, apparently that's a good year for you. Food delivery driver, well, yeah. Registered nurse, software engineer, store associate, really? Store associate. Cashier, financial advisor, wow. Stock clerk, training supervisor, project manager. Most of those make sense with respect to community needs around the pandemic, though again, there are some signs of recovery too, which is a positive. As noted, LinkedIn's tracking a range of impacts and trends, which you can keep tabs on here. Well, let's check it out. All right, workforce insights, regular insights about the U.S. economy and today's, how do you make that small? No idea. Okay, so apparently we have a newsletter workforce. That's a newsletter. You can subscribe to a workforce newsletter, which gives you the Workforce Confidence Index. So it's linkedin.com/newsletters/workforce-insights-long string of numbers. I don't know. Not too interested in that. So it's not always comfortable reading, but there is value in knowing where things are heading and how we're tracking in more general terms during the COVID-19 outbreak. Okay, we get it. Moving right along. Why machine learning and understanding searcher intent is so important to search. Right for the user, don't get bogged down in keywords. It's all about searcher intent. Barry Schwartz with Search Engine Land writes, search is not simply about keyword density and the number of links to a specific page. It's much more complex now. In our interview with Microsoft's Christy Olson and Fabrice Canal on Live with Search Engine Land, we spoke about how Bing ranks content and the importance of semantic and searcher intent. Oh, good. So apparently there's a principal program manager over at Bing. Oh, great. It's all about machine learning at Bing. Who cares? Quote, so this is all about what? So this is all about kind of the magic of machine learning? That's an odd sentence. Where obviously the engineers can go deep to understand exactly what's happening, he said. There is this feeling that when machine learning is running the search rankings or any model that you cannot debug it. Well, I do have that feeling. But Fabrice said that that is not true. Well, I must be wrong then. He said engineers can go deep to understand exactly what is happening if they need to. Ranking factors constantly evolve. So if you ask him what is an important ranking factor, he can't tell you because it is constantly evolving. Yeah, whatever. I think he's just not going to tell you. Since machine learning is powering rankings, no one can really say if a specific ranking factor is more important than another. To me, I think a good analogy would be if you look at chess openings, there are certain openings that tend to win slightly better than other openings, right? So the first two moves of an opening, might have a 2%, 3% more likelihood of winning. That, of course, does not mean that there isn't infinite complexity after those first few moves. And so that, to me, is what machine learning kind of looks like. There's so much complexity that to really narrow it down to one thing is kind of silly. So not only does the weight of a factor change from day to day in the machine learning model, it also changes based on the query being used. Christy Olson, head of evangelism, seriously, at Microsoft, noted semantic intent, that it all, quote, goes back to intent, she said. Well, that's true. If I type plumber Las Vegas, I'm looking to hire a plumber in Las Vegas. I'm typing plumber Las Vegas for that very reason. Thank you, Lanesia, for hitting the like button. Much appreciated. Sadly, on YouTube, I'm unable to tell who has hit the like button, but thank you to everyone who has done that there. Much appreciated. So optimize for intent versus keywords. It always confused me what Frédéric Debut of Bing meant about SEOs must focus on intent research practices in 2020. I mean, it didn't just confuse me, it confused John Mueller of Google. Okay, so I asked Fabrice and Christy about it. Fabrice gave an example of navigational queries, such as searching for Facebook. You probably want to go to facebook.com, but when you search for movies, and now we are in a pandemic, you probably do not want to go to the movie theater, but rather maybe find out how to watch movies online. Well, yeah, exactly. If I type plumber Las Vegas, I don't want information about the history of Las Vegas plumbers. I want to hire a plumber. And thank you, Linesia, for that glorious comment. Yeah, we're killing it today. Christy explained, quote, do not create content variations for kids versus children. Yeah, that's stupid because Bing knows that the kids and children are the same thing. Exactly. Like, you don't want to create a landing page that says, like playground, like kids playground, and create another landing page that says children's playground. That's stupid. Right for users. Well, duh. That is a no-brainer, gamers. Google's new features for product, job, and recipe activity cards usher users along their journey. Okay. Instead of showing content users previously clicked on, the cards in these verticals facilitate comparison shopping, new job listings, and related recipes. What? Oh, Jason Noggle. Thank you, Jason, for leaving the comment. It warms my heart. And Lanesia is, of course, the one who made it all happen. With the XOXO. We're keeping it on topic today, folks. Keeping it. Oh, you also do your banking at First Foundation Bank with Jason Noggle. Did you know that they waive ATM fees for up to $20? Every ATM is your ATM, First Foundation Bank. George Wen writes, Google has extended the functionality of its related activity cards with respect to shopping, job, and recipe-related searches. The company announced Tuesday the new features are designed to make it easier for users to take the next step in their journey, in this case, making a purchase, finding a job, or preparing a meal. Okay, Google Search will now show products that a user has been researching, even if the product was featured in an article the user was reading. I don't get it. So the shopping activity card featuring products associated with a user's activity. Okay. So there's a shopping activity card showing products based on their activity. Okay, I get it. So they're trying to sell you stuff that you might want. The jobs activity card. This activity card shows users new relevant listings that have been posted since the user last searched for a particular job, making it easier for job seekers to tell whether new listings are available at a glance. That's cool. The recipe activity card surfaces recipes related to the ones a user has already visited or recently visited. The related recipes are also accompanied by a thumbnail preview. Okay. Why we care. When, excuse me, not the Rona. When the activity card was first introduced, it was more conducive to repeat site visits. However, within the context of these three verticals, the new activity cards features may lead users to move on from pages they visited to comparing products, looking at new job listings, or perusing related recipes. All right. Okay. So Google, Facebook, fighting in Australia. They want their news outlets to not go away. I can't blame governments for wanting their news sources to remain stable. A free and independent media, obviously, is a very integral part of any democracy. But do they cross the line when they tell a company, okay, you now have to share some of this revenue that you're generating from your business model with these? You basically have to subsidize. Facebook, we want you to subsidize our media outlets. Is it crossing a line? Facebook launches new educator hub as students head back to school. Got it. Facebook wants teachers to teach better online. They also want to be seen as helping in the community. And, they've got infinite money. So there you go. Facebook adds new tools to track political ad spend. Should there be more transparency in political ad spending? There should be. Does Zuckerberg not want to testify in front of Congress anymore? Correct. And does he want fodder to be able to respond to a senator that is questioning him? Does he want to be able to say, hey, but we did this, and that? Of course he does. So there you go. LinkedIn provides new data on U.S. job market and most in-demand roles. If you're in sales or business development or finance, military, healthcare, and then perhaps human resources, things are looking okay for you during the pandemic, according to this data from LinkedIn. Machine learning is a big deal. When you search for something, the machine knows what you're trying to do. right? So if I search for patio bricks, it will give me results for buying patio bricks in my area, that sort of thing. If I search for the name of a constellation, it's going to give me information. It's not going to tell me how to buy that constellation. So that's searcher intent. Google's new features for product, job, and recipe activity cards. Yeah, whatever. Kind of boring article. There are these little activity cards that appear based on what you've done in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, can you believe it? It's like 1,000,000 degrees. Let's look at Pinterest stock real quick. Pinterest stock is up a little bit. Look at this glorious stock. Why did we not invest? Why? Today is the 18th of August. It is, what's the temperature? Las Vegas temperature. 102 glorious degrees in Las Vegas, Nevada. High today of 115. So a little bit spicy here in the valley. Hope everyone's staying cool. Thank you, Esther. I can't wait till tomorrow either. Tomorrow's my brother's birthday. Can you believe it? All right, ladies and gentlemen, much thank you. Much winning. Do hit that like button if you haven't already, please. It was 116 degrees yesterday, according to Esther. Very hot. We're keeping it hot on the Marketing as a Foreign Language show with this unbelievable, never been outdone outro of champions. See you tomorrow.